All right, guys and gals, we are back at it on the Subaru. Got the rear cover done last night. Now it's on to the flywheel and clutch. This is the part number from O'Reilly's. It's really cool. It was a great deal. It comes with, of course, the pressure plate, the disc, new throwout bearing, new pilot bearing, obviously the alignment tool, even some spline lubricant. Pretty good instructions. A new flywheel, which is a bonus. Number one, I didn't have to get the old one resurfaced. Number two, my old one had some chew marks, from the starter not engaging properly. And also, they are subject to heat and just all that. So brand new with the brand new clutch is just the way to go. And it was literally not that much more anyway. So I'm going to get everything out of its package, brake clean the flywheel, torque it down. I'm going to clean the outs. I cleaned most of it, but I'm going to clean the bell housing, torque down the flywheel, just collect myself, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I'll get in here, clean this up a little bit, and then replace my throwout bearing. And I haven't even really looked at that shaft, and everything looks pretty good though. So I'm so excited that I'll just get the transmission jacked back up to where I had it when I pulled it, because the motor, the engine's the studs on the engine have to go in here, but you have to also clear the frame with the motor mount studs. So you have to have everything up so you can go in and down. So I'm so excited, guys. Let's get this done. Before I put the engine in as well, I will clean the exhaust flanges. So, all right, let's get her done. All right, guys, I got the flywheel bolted in. This pilot bearing I was able to drive in after the install with a 21 millimeter socket. It fits just perfectly. And I pushed it. I went past this washer to where it's basically just below flush with the flywheel. And that should be plenty, should be perfect. And torqued the bolts in a crisscross pattern with a little bit of blue Loctite on all of them, 55 foot-pounds. And I used my handy-dandy flywheel tool. It's actually still here. It's wedged up against this. But I was able to use that, and of course I'll need it. I'll need it for the pressure plate, so I'll just leave it on there. I was a little bit worried because I was looking at videos and people were pressing it in with like a bench press, but this worked great. It slid right in. Just be really careful. Make sure you're not punching against the seal here. Make sure you're only dealing with the outer edge of the bearing. So anyways, thankful it went in, and we're off to our pressure plate and disc and get our alignment tool out here. I would imagine our pressure plate bolts are going to need a little bit of Loctite as well, so we'll clean up those bolts. Hopefully I have enough left in my little bottle, and then we'll be ready to clean up the bell housing area and re-grease. I got the fork off of there. We're going to clean up the shaft, re-grease everything. Clean up the fork. I did realize my grommet is toast. I looked online. I'll probably just clean it up, put a little silicone where it's split in half, because the half of it's still in the transmission. I don't know if you can see it there. I really want to get a new one of those, but I'm not going to wait. And I think I can install that after the fact, so I can come out from the back of the bell housing. Anyways, guys, let's keep it going, and this engine is going in tonight. All right, guys and gals, we got our pressure plate disc installed. Of course, we use our clutch alignment tool to install the disc, or to line up the disc. And as you can see, everything looks just great. Just always want to take it in and out, and just make sure everything still feels good. I wouldn't mind that bearing being a little bit deeper, but I think it's going to be fine. Again, that's really just to hold the nose of the input shaft. Obviously, most of the load is on here, and let's take a look how deep we go here. So, I hope that's enough threads. I didn't really have any information on how far to drive that thing. I could actually drive it deeper with this tool if I wanted to. But let's try to see in this old flywheel how deep the bearing was. So obviously it looks like the bearing was just flush. So I would say on this old one the bearing was flush. And let's take a look at the nose of this thing. So it's not too apparent, but I think it's going to be perfect because this, let's see here. Okay, yeah. So that alignment tool is extra long. It's just this part here. Let's see here, right? Let's think here. Yeah, so this tool comes up to this shoulder here, and that's where it stops. But this input shaft, it doesn't have the shoulder, it just has boom. So I'm just going to trust everything. Again, there's no real instructions on how far to put that pallet bearing. It doesn't really matter because no matter what, these splines are only going to be able to go into the clutch as far as it can based on when the other bell housing reaches this. So the pallet bearing is just a matter of where it's going to be riding on this. And I think we're at, or even where I see it here, I think I got it going on. So my next trick is to clean all this gunk up, polish everything up, and get things ready to go in, and of course take care of my exhaust flanges as well, and then reinstall our throwout bearing, do something about this boot, and of course the pivot fork, and put this engine in. Let's do it. All right, y'all, got everything cleaned up, lubricated the ball stud, lubricated all the contact points. It took me a little bit to figure out these clips, and as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. They're universal clips, so either one works on either side. And the way you get them off properly is to sort of rotate them to the left, so this part comes up and then rotates back, and then do the same thing. I kind of bent them, I bent them basically outward a little bit, and I was really unhappy with how loose everything was. So what I did is I took them off and I squeezed them to where they're almost like this, and then when you clip them correctly without bending them out, they'll end up like this and nice and tight. So I'm feeling good about this. I don't like how much play is in this throwout bearing, but it's really just, it's not relying a lot on that. It's just sort of riding on it. It's all of the pressure, is going to be here, here in this surface, the throwout bearing surface. And so I'm hoping if there's any shuddering, if there's anything weird, I'm gonna suspect this throwout bearing, but I'm not gonna suspect anything. Everything should be good to go. So I'm gonna jack up the transmission one more time. My jack's leaking a little bit. I did want to replace this while I was in here, but I'm gonna do that another weekend. I need to get this thing driving on the road again. And here's our engine. So I'm gonna slowly but surely get it installed, and I'm just gonna do a couple double checks really quick and make sure I'm all squared away. I got my exhaust flanges all cleaned up. Everything's nice and clean. I'm pretty much ready to go. Let's do it. All right, y'all, I was able to get this thing in. I had the transmission jacked all the way up. Obviously moved this thing nice and slow, lowered it, checked it, lowered it, checked it. Then I used this to adjust the yaw of the engine. Once you get those studs in, then it's just a matter of sort of situating everything to where it actually lines up straight and not, cattywampus to each other. And then I got a couple bolts started on each side, tightened it up just a teeny bit, like hand tight, just to get everything lined up. Then I come from the front of the engine, shake it, turn the crank to get the input shaft lined up. Anyway, she's seated, the bell housing is good to go. I discovered the wrong bolt was put into the starter before, so I've got that out, and it looks like I need possibly a shorter bolt. So I'm going to look at that. But everything is in. I got it sitting on the frame, and we are one step closer, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys and gals, we got the all the bell housing bolts tightened up. I did have to get another starter bolt. The bolts for the bell housing are 10 by 1.25, and they're different lengths. I think the normal ones are 60 millimeter, and there's a one that's longer for the starter. Anyway, I did go to Home Depot and figure that out. And I don't know if I mentioned it, when I was taking it apart, I noticed there was an air conditioning bolt missing. Anyways, here's the very common thread pitch on this. Also the AC bolts, or that. Anyway, they had robbed a bolt from the AC bracket, which was fine because there were still 3 other bolts. But I noticed he was missing. This one was in the starter, but it was actually too long. And it was actually coming out the back of this part. So I went ahead and just kind of figured out about what length I should get. And I think I put the 90 millimeter one in there. And so I got the starter tightened up. Obviously, I've got the engine hoist disconnected. I'm going to fold up the engine hoist, get it out of the way, get another table set up, and sort of set up a, in a series, each part that I need to install. I need to get all these parts wrestled up. These are obviously a lot of the initial parts I took off, but sometimes you end up skipping something that you're supposed to do, so it's a good idea, especially if it was taken apart a while ago. Even things like this EGR tube, it needs to be obviously up here and not facing down there. Stuff like that. Excuse me. And I think I am going to go ahead and take the plugs out yet again, or at least loosen them, because I do want to, before I have spark or fuel, once I have everything hooked up, I do want to crank the motor till I get oil pressure. And then once initial startup, I'd like there to be oil pressure everywhere already. Just a nice thing to do with the engine since everything is so dry. So what I'm thinking, though, is that I should do that. I should at least loosen the plugs now, and then I'm thinking if I should just take them out or not. It doesn't really matter. Anyways, this thing I'm going to replace too. Actually feels pretty good, but I'm going to replace this one. I replaced its counterpart before. It's a little bit soft right here. It could honestly last if I needed it to, but and that's about it, guys. I'm going to get after it here, get my table set up, get everything going. Let's see here. I'm not sure what this is. Bring this over here. But I'm very excited. I'm kind of raring to go here, sort of getting my bearings. And I did a little tool cleanup. Got everything sort of hanging out and ready to go. I'll get the last remaining gaskets that I need. This is our list. I'm doing this right now. I'm regrouping, yay. All right. And then I'll clean up the heater core and radiator tomorrow. But tonight, I'll, of course, in the correct order, get underneath the intake is a crossover pipe for the coolant. I'll do that first, obviously. A lot of this stuff is just very simple. In fact, and I know I need to look for hose clamps for everything. I got this. Whoops. Oh, this marker sucks. Cool. And then if I'm really satisfied with the coolant, I've said this before, if I'm really satisfied with how well I got the system clean, I'm going to get this stuff in it. But if I'm not sure, I'm just going to put regular coolant in it, just regular universal coolant. And then, very soon, just do a drain and refill flush sort of thing. Obviously, with something like this, when you drain and refill it, you're not going to get all of the coolant out. So I'll probably, I don't know, we'll see. I'm not worried about it. I'm a perfectionist, though, so I want everything to be just right. So, and I had this cranked out of shape going in and out with the engine. I didn't leave it like that forever, but man, it was twisted up like it was going to pop up. I'm glad nothing seemed to have leaked in the AC system. I'm going to get this pulled back out of the way, of course, once I'm done back here. I'm not going to hook this up yet because we're going to flush. Obviously, I've got this to hook up. So just basically got to get everything ready, make sure I've got all my wire and harnesses in the right places before I get too far. But pretty straightforward, guys. Let me get to work. Let's do it. All right, guys, I got everything set up. I'll clean up the radiator and the reservoir, excuse me, tomorrow. And basically going to start with this little number here. Obviously get the exhaust. I could probably actually do that first. Exhaust. This is all one unit here. This is obviously the upper hose. Boom. I could probably put this actually over here because it's definitely. And I definitely need to get some hose clamps. I see already. So I'll get a roundup of some hose clamps. All these factory ones I want to replace. I don't really care about the ones I didn't take apart quite yet, but I'll get one of these. Same thing for that side there. And anyway, so of course got my light set up. I got another light here that I'll turn on when I'm ready to go because it's battery powered. And I'll get my AC back over there. And yeah, I'm just gonna start basically one thing after the other. And I'll probably start with this and then get underneath it. Get the I might even wait to do the underneath stuff. It really doesn't matter when I do it. I don't feel like rolling around on the floor quite yet, but I might even probably jack up the front of it to do that stuff just to have a little more room. So, and then I did test the clutch. Feels great just from inside the vehicle. Feels good. Cool. Ready to rock and roll. Let's do it. All right, y'all. It does not look like much. Well, it looks like a lot, but basically been getting everything oriented. I replaced this hose here, the other side of our S hose, or the hose that matches this side. We got my PCB back down. Of course, we got our crossover pipe. We got most of our wiring harness laid out where it should go. Got the starter electrical hooked up. I got this thing back installed. I really want to do this CV axle. I wouldn't mind wrapping it with something, but I don't know if that would even do anything. Or I wouldn't want it to get unraveled and make a mess on the catalytic converter there. But if I could snap my fingers, I'd replace that too. But and it would only take a couple hours, but I think I'll do it on an evening here at some point. So we're basically, the stage is set for the intake. Everything is sort of hanging out, waiting for its turn. Of course, we'll be able to figure out everything. Whoops. Sorry, guys. We'll be able to figure out transmission mounting bolts, a transmission cross member, engine. So basically just identifying all these bolts, figuring out, remembering where everything is. And then here's our exhaust manifold. I was going to change the gasket for the idle air control motor, but when I took it off to do the work I did previous, it looked great, and I even put a really thin coat of silicone, so it's not going anywhere. If it leaks, I'll change it. So tomorrow I'm going to start out with replacing this S hose here. This is going to go on after I install it, I believe. It's in the way of something, I can't remember. But yeah, I'm getting pretty tired. I'm obviously going to clean the gasket surfaces. I'm going to clean the intake, or the throttle body. Get that all cleaned up. Oh boy, excuse me guys. Oh, it's getting late. It's about like almost 1:30. But yeah, I feel good about where I'm at. Definitely get it cranked over to tomorrow at some point. And I am also going to drain the final drive, or the transmission. It's been over full since I've had it. Probably I would say at least a half a quart, maybe even a quart. I wouldn't think a whole quart actually, but anyway, it's over full enough to where I want to drain it, and now is the perfect time. So, but yeah, guys, I'm going to hang it up for the night, and thanks for tuning in. Sorry for the bad camera work here. All right, y'all, it is Saturday. We're back at it. We're going to have this thing running today. I am going to clean up the intake, get everything rocking and rolling for that to be installed, and then pretty much ready for all the peripherals up here. I'm going to jack it up, finish underneath. It reminds me I got to go over to my dad's to get a swivel that I'll need for that. And then, yeah, next time you see The intake should be on, and we will be well on our way here. Let's do it. Guys and gals, I went ahead and got the everything underneath hooked back up besides the lower hose. Got a thermostat and little elbow, exhaust, motor mount, and trans mount nuts. Other than the lower hose, pretty much done there. Basically, going in with the intake, the first thing you really have to do is hook up these hoses that connect the coolant here and there, and then obviously this one here under the throttle body, and then this one over here on the other side, and then figure out how to route your lines, your wiring harnesses, where they go. You can kind of tell where they sit. He's coming through here. This came over here, but the other harness I had to make sure ran this way so this could be hooked up, and then finally the fuel injector over here. Got our EGR tube hooked up on both sides. It's loose. The EGR valve's ready to go on. I've got all the bolts started in the intake, and we're pretty much ready to go. To go ahead and torque down the intake, and then of course my pile is dwindling. We're going to put the EGR valve on, tighten up the EGR pipe going down. Then we're going to go for our probably our power steering pump, our AC, and then the alternator, and then shoot, we're ready for oil. And then at that point I will switch gears, clean up the radiator out where the garden hose is. I'm going to try to flush it. I'll clean up the reservoir. That's going to be vital. And then obviously the belts, which I have on standby. So step by step, we're getting there. And I went ahead and put the battery in the charger. It's looking good. And yeah, I actually I ran out of small hose clamps. Well, the one I used here wasn't ideal because it was so long, but I went ahead and used the existing clamp and this, which I actually like, because some of these, if you run into trouble with these out on the highway or something, the intake has to come off usually to get at it, especially this one down here, as you can see right there. Or maybe you can or can't. There it is. There's the beginning of it there. It's pretty much impossible to get to the lower part without removing the intake. So, and again, I'm going to leave this off. This is supposed to be on the bell housing, but I like that to be clear so I have better access for the checking the final drive, or excuse me, this is just the transmission. On the automatics, there's an automatic fluid level dipstick, and then there is a final drive for basically the front differential. Then of course the rear differential, I should check that too at some point. And anyways, we're just gonna get this thing running and moving under its own power again. Wahoo! Let's get this stuff back in the vehicle. Oh, and of course we're torquing down the intake. Let's see here. Intake manifold bolts, 192 inch-pounds. So that's what we're gonna go for. Let's do it. All right, y'all. I've really zoomed ahead. Got the intake all torqued down. Obviously, one thing after the other. The EGR, all the wiring, making sure everything's routed correctly. Obviously, eventually the washer fluid, the battery. Got my belts back on and tight. My power steering mounted. I've had to look for some bolts. Got everything connected. Got all my air passages connected. Oh, I gotta get this one back connected here. Kinda hard to do with one arm. Okay, there we go. That's my idle air control. That wouldn't have... I'm gonna be starting up soon. It definitely wouldn't have started. Pretty sure I'm good to go. I'm gonna go ahead and just crank it up. I know that I've got enough assembly lube in the cams. I'm not worried about that. It'll have oil pressure as soon as it can. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and start it up now. Just gonna go ahead and see what it does. And I guess might as well record for posterity. Sorry guys, oops. Okay, sorry guys. Alright, so we're just I'm gonna be very careful. I'm just praying that this thing starts up and runs, and I'm worried the radiator has a lot of the oily residue left in it, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to run it with regular coolant, do a sort of an extended coolant flush, and I'll probably drain and refill it again. So I've got no radiator in it, no upper and lower hoses. Heater hoses are disconnected because I'm gonna drive it and flush those tomorrow. At least really move some water through it. I was showing signs of heater core issues, but that may have been air bubbles from the head gaskets issues as well. But so who knows? I'm just gonna get it started, see if it gets going. I got oil in it. Everything's connected. It'll take a while for the fuel to reach the injector, so I'm hoping during that time I'll be able to build some oil pressure. And then of course I have this guy not connected. Alright guys, I think I'm good to go. Lord, help this to start and run. I don't even have a key for it, guys, out here. Let me get a key for it. Alright guys, I got the key. It's actually in the center console. Probably gonna have some power steering noise right away. I just want to make sure it starts up and runs, and I'll probably shut it right off. Maybe I have the coils. Maybe I have the plugs misrouted. I'll shut it off for now, guys. Alright guys, I think it was just flooded. Let's try it again. Alright. We're looking good. Thank you, Lord. I know I'm really close to that three-wheeler back there. So I don't have any coolant in it, and I've got a code for coolant temp sensor low voltage. I think that's because there's no fluid around it for it to sense, and that might be why it's having a little bit of coughing and sputtering getting started. I don't know. I'm hoping, but when it starts up and runs, it seems to run great. That initial startup is a question right now. So I'm gonna go ahead. Inside the radiator, because of the oily coolant, it's just the nastiest, stickiest. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's a thin coat of it everywhere. So I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it all out. I think what I'm gonna try to do is put this regular coolant in, run it for a few days, take a look, see how it looks. If it looks okay, and the residue is not really making a difference, but if I start to get a lot of oily droplets that are still in the radiator or still in the heater core. Anyway, tomorrow I have another day, another afternoon to work out any kinks, but I think right now I'm going to finish flushing the radiator as best I can, put the radiator in, upper and lower hoses, get coolant in it, and then start up, and then at that point I'll be ready for a test drive. And the clutch feels great. It goes back and forth, so thank you, Lord. This is so far successful, but just again, just making sure that it starts up properly. And again, if it doesn't know what temperature it is based on the coolant, it does have the intake air temperature. It can tell that way. This one may not have an intake air temp, so who knows. But the engine's supposed to know what the engine's temperature is based on the sensor. So if it's low, who knows what the engine wants to do. But anyways, guys, maybe it's over-richening it or something. But I'm going to get the radiator finished, cleaned up, and there you have it, guys. Starts and runs, and we're just going to work out the kinks. All right, guys, I've got the radiator flushed as well as I could. Ultimately, for $100, I could have replaced it, but we are just short on extra parts money for this thing at this point. Got the upper and lower hose on, got our fans connected, and I'm going to wait on the reservoir. Oil's full, power steering's full. I'm going to start it up. There's no coolant in it. I'm going to start it up, get it over to my hose, take off this air box, flush out the heater core really quick, drive it back in. While it's out there, because I'll have to put this back on to drive it. While it's out there, I'll hook up the heater hoses and then put the air box back together, pull it back in, and then mix up my coolant, get it nice and dandy, and then basically pull this thing out, do a nice test drive, make sure I've got no big leaks, make sure it's fixed, everything feels great, etc. And then, of course, throw the summer tires in it for tomorrow morning. And if I have time, I want to spray it off. And I did just find out my wife's passenger side upper tie rod, or excuse me, upper ball joint is very loose. It's been pulling to the right a little bit, drifting to the right. And then it made some noise today, and I actually just noticed it. So anyway, gotta get that done. But I gotta get this cleaned up, and then of course get my dad's Jeep cleaned up and back to him. But just wanted to show basically a finished product, and what a project this has been. All right, guys, on the first test drive, I did find out the reason why I was stumbling trying to start, that I slid the coolant temperature sensor on, but I didn't click it in, so I had to get back down under the intake. I was able to get it without taking a ton of stuff off. Plugged in, that fixed my problem. It was idling high for a little bit. I adjusted the throttle using the lock nuts on the cable, and then I had some white smoke steadily puffing out the exhaust. And the radiator was coming up, a couple of bubbles, extra bubbles. I was kind of getting worried, so I'm just driving it. It cleared up out of the back of the exhaust. So now I figured I'm just gonna drive it and really get this engine used to these new head gaskets, breaking the clutch, and it seems to be just going great so far. So I'm gonna drive it, get some good miles on it really quick, and then check for leaks, and then load up the summer tires, and then get to washing it up. I gotta clean it up at some point. All right, guys. Thank you, Lord. This thing seems to be doing great. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, this is the grand finale conclusion. I went on a 10-mile drive. Everything's looking great. I'm going to continue to check for leaks over the next couple days. Clutch feels great. Engine runs great. I got a new one of these, but it didn't fit, so I cleaned up the old one. I got the good coolant in there. We'll see over time how much, if anything, we get built up, but it looks great so far. I was puffing out a lot of white smoke earlier, and I'm sure maybe that was just, I don't know what it was, guys, but man, I thought I had some coolant getting in. But it cleaned up, went for a nice long drive. It's been running for quite a while. I'm going to get the summer tires put in the back, and that'll be first thing tomorrow morning. But other than that, it is back in the fleet, ladies and gentlemen. Back in the fleet. There it is, 1999. Dual overhead cam. EJ25D. Head gaskets. Engine block thread repair. All kinds of different repairs. God, this thing was a nightmare. Anyway, over and out, guys.